And that's talking about Jake Paul. And this is an interesting thing. And as boxing fans, let's just get to the facts. Is he the best boxer anywhere near that group? Absolutely not. But can we deny the fact that Jake Paul has the most stardom in boxing? Now, that could be debated, sure. I mean, you look at lists: Canelo Alvarez, Tank Davis, Anthony Joshua, Negro Inoue. Is he the biggest star in boxing, though, right now? And the reason I ask is because rumors are now coming out. He has failed to land the Canelo Alvarez fight. He had a few other fights with Tank Davis possibly planned, others that have fallen apart now. And now he's looking at a position where we could possibly see him fight Nico Ali Walsh. We could possibly see him fight a guy of Cesar Chavez Jr. None of those fights are fights that I want to see, but will I watch them? Sure. So I guess the question I have to ask then is Jake Paul good for boxing? To that I say depends on how you're viewing it, and if we look at the large-scale picture, it's good. Why do I say that's good? Let's look at the reflection of what happened. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, that fight was abysmal. The fight was atrocious. The fight was a disaster. But was that night a success? I'd say yes. The reason behind that answer I give is let's look at what happened for the women. Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, possibly the fight of the year last year. More eyes were given to those two than they ever would have gone on any other platform, and has now allowed themselves to piggyback off of that fight to have them headline their own mega fight card this year. That'll be coming up in a few months. That's huge. Let's go below that fight card, and you have Mario Barrios and Abel Ramos. Another incredible fight. You know, we saw these big fights that would not have had the attention that it gathered and gained had it not been for Jake Paul. And so for that, I say, are you going to get some massive mega fights from Jake Paul in this landscape of great boxing fights? I don't think we're ever going to see that. I'd love to be proven wrong, but I don't think we're going to see it. But can we stop hating on the fact that he does have the biggest branding in all of boxing and out of all professional athletes, let's be honest, outside of, the likes of Messi, Ronaldo, LeBron James. I mean, Jake Paul, if we're going by followers and his influence in the world, he's pretty close, if not right after that group of guys. And so if we're going to keep complaining and bickering about what Jake Paul brings to boxing and him ducking everybody, yeah, it's fun to talk about, but he brings eyes to boxing. And those eyes can help us grow the brands and the platforms of countless other boxers. Because if we're going to be honest right now, there is an issue when it comes to boxing in America. Things are not as sustainable as we once thought they would be. We go back in time and we look at the reflection of how strong boxing in America was in its prime days. It's not quite there anymore. There's a lot of factors to blame for that. And if we start up at the heavyweight division, my goodness gracious, the heavyweight division in America is a train wreck. And I don't think we're ever going to restore that because let's look at the facts. When you talk about boxing, the guys that could be heavyweight boxers, they're playing basketball and some are playing football. Now, I don't think there's too many football guys because a lot of football guys are not that tall. They would not probably qualify for heavyweights if they were to cut down weight. But let's look at basketball guys. There's quite a few that come to mind that could have had very successful boxing careers had they pursued that opposed to basketball. So I don't think we're ever going to have that change in tide because, listen, the money is in basketball. It is what it is. But we can still fix the other weight classes in boxing in a lot of different ways. And that comes from exposure. Nothing else can get more eyes on something than exposure, promotion. And so if Jake Paul continues to fight and he loads up these undercards with other guys that are good boxers, it's going to grow the brands of these boxers and these fighters. And overall, in the large scope of things, it's going to grow the picture and the branding of boxing. And that is necessary. More guys wanting to box, more guys having the mentality to box, and having more guys be able to earn more money from the sport is only going to help it. That same thing can be said about Turki Al-Sheikh. Yes, people have the polar opposite opinions of what he's doing for boxing, but let's be honest. More pay makes boxing more enticing. Soccer or football, if you're going to go in other countries, is very, very enticing as a sport because it's one of the highest grossing and high paying sports in the world. Basketball has now surpassed football according to what we've seen in the Forbes list that came out a couple months ago now. That's why players and athletes want to go pursue basketball. However, because of Turki Al-Sheikh, there was, if I'm not mistaken, 3 of the top 10 earning athletes in all the world were boxers this year, and they all came from Riyadh season fights. Usyk, Fury, Joshua. Let's stop hating on things. Let's look at the large scope and picture. Sure, there might be things that are not preferable, But the large scope of things is changing boxing for the better. Boxing is in a better position now than it has been in many, many, many years. Whether you like that or not, it is a fact. There are better fights being made now than ever before. I understand a lot of people like these promotional groups, PBC and these other things, but guess what? Those companies, those organizations, before they started coming together and making the best fights happen, it put boxing in a horrible position for many, many years. It drew it from it dropped it from being one of the most desirable watch sports in the world to quickly dwindling in every single country. There's not an emphasis and a fandom for boxing as there once was, and it's due to a lot of these different factors. The more that we have more money involved, the larger eyes on boxing, the better off boxing will be going forward. So is Jake Paul good for boxing? My answer to that is simply yes. Yes, there are things that we can dispute, but at the end of the day, the large picture, boxing is in a better place with Jake Paul than without him.